Madam the President, honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen, the video clip that you have just seen has revived on me a very painful experience. It was me who first visited Ashraf and did the body count. I reported what I saw on the ground, and UNAMI did not show any interest in making the report public. I had to make the report public through irregular, unusual way of reporting, and I passed the report to Geneva that made it public. This is for history. But I would like to share some ideas with you with this MOU, the Memorandum of Understanding signed with the government of Iraq. First, we drafted it so that we give protection to the Ashrafis. But Kobler's intervention in this process made it a process, an MOU for persecution, not protection. The first thing, for those who didn't see the MOU, there was no reference to humanitarian law. In fact, it was crossed from the draft. No reference whatsoever to humanitarian law. International humanitarian law is unacceptable for the government of Iraq. Now, also the MOU, which apparently Kobler is making it a tool to save life. I'm telling you from first-hand experience and first-hand knowledge that the presumption from the very beginning is these people are terrorists and they should be dealt with as such. So let's send them to a detention center while a sort of a triage through the UNHCR will be made. Some of them will eventually be granted the refugee status, others will be denied. And I did ask UNAMI what happens for those who will be denied the refugee status. The answer from Kobler is that the due process of law should take place, meaning they should be arrested and put to trial. Ladies and gentlemen, you know what is justice in Iraq today. There is no independence of the judiciary in Iraq. And if anybody is put to trial in Iraq, they will be condemned. And I will ask, do you think the UNHCR cannot do it within the time frame agreed at the beginning? They could. When they wanted to sort out the situation in a similar camp in Iraq called Mahmour camp, they sorted it out in a few months. Everybody now in Mahmour camp has a refugee card. They move around freely. They have the right to income-generating activities. And they also have documents to travel even abroad. That is not the case in Ashraf because they don't want them to be treated as refugees. And the MOU cannot be clearer than this. The MOU is denying the refugee status to everybody, even if the UNHCR will recognize it. Now, having said that, and Madam the President said that at the beginning that we need to, the Ashrafis need to go back to Ashraf. It has no legal value whatsoever. The lawyers existing here will agree with me that a document like this signed between the government of Iraq and the United Nations in serious violation of the Vienna Convention on the Law of Treaties, Article 51 and 52 of the Vienna Convention. They make this document null and void because it's produced by coercion and the threat of use of force. Any document signed under the threat of use of force and coercion has no legal value. So now this document should not be referred to as a reference in dealing with Ashraf. It's very important to show you, here are the documents, the lies of UNAMI. And it was done, the whole process was done under my leadership. But I distanced myself from it when it went wrong. What does this document say? This is again with the taxpayers' money, your money. UNAMI recruited an expert, shelter expert they call him, they brought him from UNHCR in Ethiopia in order to assess the situation in Camp Liberty, whether it's fit to accommodate 3,400 people or not. Here is the report. The report reads, UNHCR cannot certify and or verify that the above location, meaning Camp Liberty, meets humanitarian standards according to the many existing standards books of the UNHCR, the UNHCR handbook, the SFAR, the WHO, all these books on standards, the experts certified they do not exist in Camp Liberty. And here is second document. That's on the 31st of January, Kobler published. I read a little sentence where Kobler says, the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees and UNAMI Human Rights Office have now confirmed that the infrastructure and facilities at Camp Liberty are in accordance with the international humanitarian standards stipulated in the MOU. Can't we see exactly the flagrant lies in this UNAMI press statement? And then let me draw your attention where the UNAMI press release refers to international humanitarian standards stipulated in the MOU. At the beginning I told you the MOU does not stipulate any humanitarian standards. The government of Iraq refused to refer to international humanitarian law. So can you see how UNAMI and its leadership misleading the international community, misleading the whole world by playing on this kind of linguistic and this kind of words. So I'm showing you the documents, and we have the right to ask the United Nations to inquire into this. What's the discrepancy between these two documents? Here they are. We do expect the United Nations to take the matter in hand. I thank you very much.